I grew up in the American dream. At least I thought I did, until I realized that it wasn't my dream, it was someone else's. I was one of 12 children, 9 girls, 3 boys in a 16-year span. I grew up on a dairy farm, which was the same farm that my great-great-grandfather founded in 1860. And then it was my great-grandfather, my grandfather, my parents, and my brother. And on that farm, with the mix of so many girls, it was common to see us out there in our bikinis driving the big equipment. I went to the same one-room schoolhouse that my great-grandfather founded and taught at. This was the time of Leave It to Beaver, and we had June Cleaver as our role model of what it could possibly be like as a mom and as a wife. And as idyllic as all that was, it wasn't my dream. I recently did a study because I wanted to understand how women saw the American dream. It was a nationwide study, 800 women, multi-generational and multicultural. And I wanted to understand what was important to her. How did she define the American dream? And had it changed in the past decade? And what advice was she giving, or would she give, to the next generation to help them find a happy and fulfilling life? So tonight I'm going to share with you 5 themes that came out of that study and how they compare to my life journey. So the first theme was clearly Prince Charming need not apply. That whole idea of a husband, 2.5 children, and a house in suburbia is no longer the dream, and it's not the reality. In the United States, less than half of the U.S. households are that traditional married with children. And she's a major contributor in household income and in household decisions. Today, women hold over 50% of high-paying management and professional positions. So she's redefining marriage. It's no longer about a man to complete her. She's looking at a partner, someone to share in her journey, somebody that is a champion and part of her ups and downs on her life journey. For me, I was the 5th girl, and my 4 sisters all graduated from high school and got married within a year. But I wasn't the one looking in catalogs for wedding dresses or wedding cakes. I had bigger dreams. I wanted to be a secretary for someone important. We also learned in this study that women really feel that they have the freedom to choose their own path. She does not feel she needs to compromise family versus career versus education. And for the first time, women have surpassed men in getting advanced degrees. And I stayed on track with my dream. I was the first one who didn't get married, and I went on to secretarial school. And I learned shorthand, which I still use today, the typing and all those skills. And when I graduated, I went out to look for that job. And they didn't, at that time, teach you how to find a job. So I remember I put on my light blue suit and my pastel scarf, grabbed my resumes, and I went walking down Main Street of the largest town near where I grew up. And I saw a bank, and I thought, whoa, there might be someone important in there. So I went in and applied for a job. I went to the county assessor's office, and I just kept making my way down the street. And then I saw it. It was a red brick building. On the top of it, it said, Congressman R. Nolan. Now, that would be someone important. So I went to that building, I went in that door, and I walked down the hall. And it was not what I expected at all. It was a little bit dingy. There were little offices, and I thought, well, certainly this wouldn't be where he would have an office. So I turned around, and I went back on the street and continued my pursuit. And when I got to the end of the block, I remember it as if it were yesterday. I said, now, Dori, if you're going to give up that easy, where are you going to get in life? And I turned around, feeling conspicuous, went back to that building, and walked in that door. Another theme that was very strong was the whole sense of humanity. women really feel it is their responsibility to make the world a better place. And despite the personal hardship in our economic recession, volunteerism is on a rise. In our study, 97% of women said it was either extremely or moderately important to give back. And that wasn't just the older generation who's thinking about legacy. It was the young millennials, 94%. For Gen Xers, it was 98%. So they see this new generation. They don't even see it as an obligation. It's a privilege, it's a right, and they're actively being part of defining what our world looks like moving forward. Well, I got that job with the congressman. I had never been out of the state, and I moved to the other end of the country. At age 19, without a college degree, I was a legislative assistant focused on women's issues and small business. And that job was fulfilling in every way. We were making change that mattered. We also heard in this study that women really are realizing the power of her voice. She's self-reliant, she's confident, she's educated, she's holding positions of high authority, and she is exerting her influence, and hear her roar. Forums like this, the internet, social media, it just magnifies her voice. So I worked in Washington. When I finished that job, I went and got my business degree, and then I started my own marketing company. And I was probably 10 years into this when we were doing a research project for Snackwells, the cookies and crackers. And we saw that women were actually hoarding the cookies. They were hiding them in the cupboard behind the cereal boxes, behind the pasta boxes. And that's not typical behavior for nurturers. And as we took a look at that, this is the late 90s. And women were having more and more opportunity for responsibility and the higher level positions in the workforce, and yet nothing had changed at home. And that silly box of cookies became her first step of permission to do something for herself. And I looked at that and I thought, you know what, there's an opportunity here for Snackwells to use their corporate leadership and their brand strength to find a more meaningful role and relevancy with their consumer. And Snackwells did. They took a stand to act on behalf of all women and to be there in support as women were going through self-discovery and personal growth. And that's when I found my voice. I realized that my experience in Congress had given me a different perspective about what business could do and should do. And I found my platform to help companies find and understand the opportunity that they could do by bringing more meaning and purpose into women's or their consumers' life broadly. The last area I want to talk about is the whole area of health and wellness. Women ranked health and wellness as the most important thing for a happy and fulfilling life. She felt it was more important than a happy marriage, than having children, than a well-paying career. When she talked about health and wellness, it was really the whole body, mind, spirit. She saw and was telling us things that you have to be happy on the inside and out in order to truly embrace your role as a mother, as a daughter, as a sister, as a wife. And I was on my journey of fulfillment. I had found my voice, and I was only less than 2 years on that path. And then I got sick. And I had this situation where I'd have this ringing in my ears, and it kept getting louder and louder, and it was a roar, and it was confusing. And then I would have situations where I would get vertigo, and the whole room would be spinning. I couldn't walk. I'd be bracing myself for stability. And I was diagnosed with Meniere's disease in both ears. And it is a degenerative disease that results in progressive hearing loss. And the whole time this is happening to me, I'm asking myself, why this noise? Why this roar? What is it I should be hearing that I'm not? And I realized that I was supposed to be hearing women's needs, women's desires, women's unspoken aspirations. And I was the one that was supposed to be taking that to corporate leaders. And today, I have severe hearing loss in both ears. And what I hear is only 25% word recognition. I've never said this publicly. I've never told my clients. But I read lips. I read body language. I fill in the blanks. So I can't hear, but I am a megaphone for women's voices. So I look at this whole study, and what did this all mean? What does it tell us about the tapestry and the dreams that women have for the future? If you think about it, when our country was founded, the dream was defined as life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And then that morphed into fame and fortune, knights in shining armor, and McMansion at the end of the block. And then it all came crashing back down. And in a place of feeling somewhat vulnerable, insecure, uncertain, out of control, Americans are rethinking what is that American dream. And they have come full circle back to the pursuit of happiness. And happiness is your dream. It is, you have the freedom to choose your own path, to find your passion, to find your purpose. And it's individual. For Barb, it was selling her own successful family business and starting a microfinancing company in Uganda. For Joanne, it was getting her college degree at age 45 as a single mom raising 2 children. For Tanae, it was taking her nonprofit experience and starting social entrepreneurship. For Sheila, it was renting out her house, grabbing her husband, and moving to China to teach English for a year. I found my happiness when I realized it was women's voices that I was supposed to be hearing. I took my whole company and made my complete focus to be about marketing to women. So marketing to women, it is my profession, it's my passion, and it's my cause. So, what is your American dream? What is it that brings you true, deep happiness? If you can't answer that with clarity and passion, then I challenge you to start living a life with intention. Here's a tool that might help you. In the next 5 days, I would like you to find 30 minutes of time where you can give focused attention and answer these questions. What is it I dream about? What do I care about? What do I worry about? And what do I stand for? I have done this with women, and sometimes it's the easiest way to do that is to sit down, grab a stack of magazines, pull out pictures, words, whatever strikes you, whatever draws you. Get some markers, get some glue sticks, and put them on a paper. It's not so much what you put there, but then step back and ask yourself why. Why did I pull that picture with butterflies? Why did I put that word surprise? And in that visioning, in that exercise, you will find clarity in what it is that draws you. So finding your American dream and empowering yourself to pursue it is vital to a happy and fulfilling life. And I wish that to all of you. Thank you.